I finished reading my entire physical TBR, and in today's video I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about that experience and how I feel. And at the end of this video I want to share with you some serious tips and tricks, like my proven methods that got me through this reading challenge, how I solidified my success. My name is Charlotte and my shelves are to the left of me, and for as long as I can remember I have been a bookaholic, a book shopaholic, and I wanted to change that in 2026. For as long as I have been able to read, there has been a stack of physical books on my bedside table. Physical books have been my near constant, consistent literary companion, and towards the end of 2025 that companion was starting to feel very heavy. My TBR was getting into the 60s. I know some people have a lot more books on their TBRs. It was feeling like I was never going to read all these books. I was never going to get to the bottom of them because I was purchasing faster than I was reading. And towards the end of 2025, I'd say around November, December, I started tentatively saying to myself, let's try and work on this. And it wasn't until 2026 that I made that announcement public. I needed some form of accountability by publicly saying I'm on a book buying ban. I also wanted to challenge myself to actually read all these books that I had spent money on. They were starting to feel like a monster that I was never going to slay. I never expected this reading challenge to be as tough as it was. Some people might think book buying and being a bookaholic, shopaholic is silly, but I'm sure there are those of you out there as well who, like me, just set yourself a goal, and for once with regarding to reading, you just wanted to hit it. You just wanted to reach that finishing post. Before we go any further with this story, I just wanted to remind you that if you would be so kind as to consider liking, commenting, subscribing and hyping this video, these are all small, very generous but free acts of kindness that you can extend towards me that will support my channel. As I've already shared, I did make it through this challenge, but it was tough. The biggest, most difficult part that I didn't see was getting down to the final 20 books. And what I realised is those books were the final ones, because some of them were the ones that had been on my TBR the longest. They are the books that I had put off reading. They were the books that I was least interested in. And around March of this year, I hit a massive reading slump, which is dangerous when you are on a book reading challenge. I realised retrospectively, these books were the ones that I had purchased quite mindlessly. They were ones I had maybe bought on a whim or thought, gosh, that cover looks fascinating, and they were not enticing or exciting reads. This was also the first time in the challenge that I really started leaning into DNFing books. I very rarely DNF. I feel a stupid amount of guilt about not giving a book enough of a chance, like they're a bad ex-partner or something. I push well past a point of when I think a book isn't for me to make sure I give it enough of a chance. And I think I spent a lot of time this year reading books I would get quite far through only to DNF. But it also helped me hone in on what I truly love to read, the authors that I know I love, and what type of books I actually want to spend my finite amount of time on this planet actually reading. Since I finished the challenge at the end of May, I think it was, my shopping habits for June and July have been entirely different. I have not gone out and splurged and bought a bunch of books. I will be candid with you, I have maybe purchased 3 or 4 for myself. My TBR, as it stands on my bedside table, has a handful of books on it, and it's wonderful. And also knowing there is an immediacy to what I'm going to read. Like if I only have 4 books or 5 books on my TBR at present, knowing that within a month or 2 I will have gotten through those books, and also that all of them are equally enticing, and I'm excited about every single book now on my bedside table because I'm going to be reading them so soon. Knowing that I have books not living in TBR limbo for potentially years at a time is such a refreshing feeling, and I wish I could gift that to you. Something I didn't appreciate was how much owning that volume of books to be read, how much psychologically and how heavy that felt on my shoulders and my brain. And there is a quote that I think kind of matches this circumstance, in that sometimes you don't realise the weight of something until it's lifted from you. I feel wonderful and I feel lighter, and it is such an unexpected feeling. So in the second part of this video, I want to share with you the genius, but sometimes silly and sometimes ridiculous methods that I used as what I hope is a recovered bookaholic, shopaholic, to hopefully help you read your TBR to read the bloody books that you have already bought. Help you find some momentum with what you've got on your TBR, and maybe even help you save a little bit of money. Here we go. Tip number 1, photograph every book you see in the wild in the bookshops and keep it on your phone in a folder. This helped me feel less like I might forget that book was out there, and meant that I could keep a sort of flick through album. It also meant if I saw a specific edition or a particularly beautiful cover or version of a book, I just had it captured. I had it scrapbooked and saved in an album, and at a later point, I would be able to come back and purchase that book. This helped me lock down that I had saved the book digitally. It just meant that I didn't need to go out and buy a physical copy or a version on Kindle. Tip number 2 is to text or voice note your friends when you're feeling book itchy. And that was the term that I gave myself when I felt an impulse to buy a book. Sometimes sharing with a friend a photograph or voice noting them about a particularly lovely book, having them bemoan to you, gosh, I would buy this book if I could right now, or doesn't this look nice, and they agree with you, or you go, here's a new release that I haven't seen, have you seen it? That kind of released the pressure valve a little bit. That helped lessen the impulse of wanting to spend, because I realised I could still enthuse and chat about books with my best friends, because luckily they're both quite bookish too, but it also removes some of that desire to consume that physical item. Tip number 3 would be to start a notes app or a Notion list spreadsheet type option to log and categorize how many books you want to buy. So when you're seeing them, sometimes taking a picture is enough, but I also found keeping a to be purchased list of the books, I could then review that more frequently. I could review the books I'd wanted in that moment, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, however many weeks down the line, and I could see out of 10 books that I'd wanted to buy, 4 of them I actually didn't want anymore, and that impulse to buy them had gone. And that gave me data and evidence that showed that often my desire to purchase a book is actually quite fleeting, and I don't always make mindful bookish purchases. It also meant that I could mentally tally how much I would have spent on books. If I had bought every book I wanted, say in January, that could have been 40 or 50 pounds or more, or half of that if I'd managed to get copies of them secondhand. And again, that was more data and evidence that I was able to provide my brain with to empower myself to make stronger decisions and curb my spending, but enhance that willpower. Tip number 4 is similar to 3 in the sense that it does involve making a list. God, I love a list. But it would be to make a bookish wish list. So if you use Amazon, or if you use Bookshop or an independent site, maybe put those books that you really love on a wish list for a future birthday or Christmas. Not maybe one that's around the corner for you, but slightly further down the line, so you've had more time to get through your TBR. But knowing that perhaps it's not the end of ever getting a new book ever again, but at some point in the future, your parents or your in-laws or your friends, they can buy you those books. My 5th tip would be to share your goal publicly. Put it on your personal social media, put it on your BookTube or BookTok account, share it with family and friends, make it known, make a public declaration to help enhance that accountability. Not only will this help enforce your will, but you'll be surprised how many people in the BookTok and BookTube community will cheer you on. I did a couple of reading updates earlier on my channel, and people left so many remarkable and kind and supportive comments. That really helped me along the way. If you are thinking of going on a book buying ban or taking on a challenge like this, also tag me so I can cheer you on too, because I love to see people achieve their reading based goals as well, whether that's a particular number you want to hit this year, if you're on a book buying ban, whatever challenges you've got going on, make sure you tag me as well so I can cheer you too. Tip number 6 is one that helped me when I was feeling a bit stagnant and a bit stale in my reading challenge, and that was to shop my own shelves. And if someone had said that to me at the start of this challenge, I would have gone, boring. But hear me out. But you can take some time to grab some slips of paper or a post-it note, shop your shelves and think about which books you would like to reread, and mark those up. You don't even have to take them off the shelves and add them to your TBR that you're trying to get through, but I found it a really nice exercise to flag up and tab the books that actually in the next year or so I would like to revisit and reread. And that also gave me this feeling of fullness, like I had suddenly identified a bunch of books that I wanted to read. I found this exercise as kind of a visual part of my shelves, because I have tabs now in my books too, a feeling like I had added something to my TBR psychologically. I don't know how to explain it, but knowing that I physically didn't have to add to what I was already trying to get through. I hope that makes sense. Tip number 7 is a gentle reminder to use your local library. I don't think this can derail your reading goal too much, but it depends on your book buying ban and what rules you want to make for yourself. At the start of my buying ban, going to the library was helpful because I still had access to new books but was not spending money. A couple of months into it, I realised I just wanted to focus on my TBR. I then stopped using the library, but I still recommend it because it does release that itchy spendy feeling and that pattern and habit, and you still get to browse and enjoy books. I think using the library in an early book ban is a nice way of using a sort of weaning mechanism. Tip number 8 would be to get creative with your own reading goals. So I so far have shared some tips and tricks and some of the rules that I used in my reading challenge. But some people have for every 3 books you read, you're allowed to buy 2 more, or 3 in, 1 out, whatever that looks like. There are small concessions that you can tailor and personalize in this type of reading challenge that can help ensure your own success. Like I previously mentioned, I had used going to the library to help support this goal, but what ultimately worked for me the most was going cold turkey. Not everyone needs to be that ruthless with themselves. Some people probably have a lot better willpower than I do, so you didn't need that black or white, yes or no, not at all boundary. I have seen other readers have exceptions to rules, which I think could be super fun and playful, such as book subscriptions, book crates, those sorts of special editions that come out that they're allowed to buy. And I would encourage you to be playful with the rules going forward. You don't need to be as regimented towards the end of it like I was. We still want reading to be fun. My final tip, I promise this is the last one, is to have an accountability buddy. I did talk in some of my earlier points about texting friends and sharing books that I really loved but I couldn't buy, and whatever form or way this looks like for you, I cannot underestimate the value in having a good friend who would support you whatever the goal is, whether it's a reading challenge or a spending challenge or a bookaholic kind of challenge. I hope you don't overlook the value of having someone who can act as a really good accountability buddy. So that was a very overdue reading update of where I am with my book buying ban and the disbelief I still have that I finished my entire TBR. I have really changed my book consumption habits, and that was the end goal at all of this, and that would be something that I would love to pass on to you as a gift or a challenge or an aim for yourself. Let me know in the comments what your current TBR size is and how you feel about it, because if you have 50 to 100 odd books on your TBR and they are not weighing on you in any way, then that's perfect and absolutely wonderful for you. But if, like me, you were starting to feel an oppressive amount of guilt and a heaviness, and your books were starting to feel like a bit of a burden, let's chat in the comments about it, because I would love to help you get through your book buying ban. I am more than happy to be your book accountability buddy. I'm also feeling very happy that I haven't finished that ban and gone out and bought 20 books. I was scared that with the amount of restriction that I had for 6+ months, my next impulse would be to binge books, and it hasn't been like that the last couple of months. So I feel really good about how this has reset my brain. So thank you for watching this video. Again, please do consider liking, commenting, hyping and subscribing. It really does help my channel, and happy reading to you.